To deliver our first keynote address, it is my honor to invite to the stage the Minister of Energy and Electricity, South Africa, Honorable Dr. Ramokgopa.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Let me take the opportunity to acknowledge Honorable Minister Gwede Mantashe, the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources in the Republic, Honorable Bruno Jean Richard Echua, the Minister of Hydrocarbons, Republic of Congo, the CEO of AUDA NEPAD, Ms. Nardos Bekele Thomas, and our great friend Ayuk, the Executive Chairman of African Energy Chamber, the CEOs of industry, leaders of international organizations, representatives of civil society, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Let us acknowledge that the dialogue we enter into today extends far beyond the language of infrastructure, finance, and technology. At its core is a profound moral question, the question of energy justice. It is the unwavering conviction that access to energy is a fundamental human right and not a privilege allocated by geography, weather, or circumstance. It is the belief that no African child should be born on the wrong side of a transmission line, destined for darkness, while others live beneath an unbroken canopy of light. It is the assertion that development cannot be rationed, postponed, or selectively granted. It is the insistence that the dignity of our people must never be negotiated. There are moments in the life of a people when history pauses and holds its breath. Moments when a continent gathers its full weight of its past and the full possibility of its future and chooses a new direction. Today is such a moment. We stand on African soil. We stand in Johannesburg. We stand in a city that has known struggles and conquests, suffering and triumph, darkness and illumination, and through it all, refused to surrender its belief in a future of dignity and justice. Across our continent, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean, from the Sahara to the Cape Alcalas, a powerful truth resonates. Africa stands at the most consequential turning point in modern history. Our continent is rising. Our young people are declaring their place in the world. Our economies are poised to transform. Our resources, our ingenuity, and our determination are unmatched. And yet, the full potential of Africa will remain unrealized until energy becomes abundant, accessible, affordable, and secure. The world is transforming at an extraordinary pace. Yet, for Africa, the energy transition is not a technical puzzle or an abstract policy debate. It is a profound struggle for justice. It is a fight for dignity. It is a declaration of sovereignty. It is a refusal to accept that a continent so rich in sunlight can remain trapped in darkness, or that a people so rich in ingenuity can remain restricted by the limits of infrastructure they did not choose, and by financial systems that do not serve them. Energy is not simply electricity. It is the currency of human possibility. Without it, hospitals fall silent. Learning stalls, factories stand idle, and dreams wither before they are born. But when energy flows, society awakens, hope expands, industry roars, and history accelerates. Consider Mariama, a 14-year-old girl in Freetown who studies each night beneath a street lamp because the lights in her home do not turn on. Consider Kemi, a woman entrepreneur in Lagos whose refrigerated goods depend on a generator that devours her profits. And consider Kgosientsho, a brilliant young innovator in Gaborone who designs for advanced robotics and clean technologies, cannot take flight because of greed, cannot carry the dreams he is ready to build. When we speak of megawatts, gigawatts, and greed, we speak of their lives. If they rise, Africa rises. This is the moral center of the African energy struggle. It is not merely economic. It is not technocratic. It is a battle for justice. It is a fight for sovereignty. It is the insistence that access to energy is a human right and not a luxury reserved for the wealthy or the fortunate. It is the uncompromising belief that Africa refuses to inherit the lowest rung of a global system designed to benefit others before it benefits us. And it is this conviction that guided South Africa's presidency of the G20 Energy Technical Working Group. The Technical Working Group secured historic achievements that rewrite Africa's place in global energy governance. The G20, under South Africa's presidency, adopted a full consensus, a global commitment to accelerate access to clean cooking solutions, a commitment that seeks to protect forests, restore health, and liberate nearly 1 billion Africans from a daily struggle that shortens life and suppresses opportunity. The G20 Technical Working Group recognized that energy poverty is not an African inconvenience, but a systemic global risk. The world's most powerful economies affirmed a collective responsibility to expand access, strengthen security, and support transitions that are genuinely just and equitable. And critically for Africa, the G20 affirmed the inviolable principle that every nation has the sovereign right to pursue a transition consistent with its developmental ambitions, its resources, inheritance, and its historic circumstances. These are not ceremonial gestures. They mark a profound moral realignment. They signal that Africa will no longer be positioned as a recipient of instruction, but as a partner in shaping destiny. Africa today stands as a region with the lowest transmission access per capita in the world. Brazil alone possesses more transmission lines than 38 African nations combined. And our per capita grid length is between 5 and 7 times lower. This is not a statistic to be recited. It is a symptom of structural inequality and a barrier to progress. Without transmission, there can be no transition. A continent cannot electrify its homes, power its industries, or connect its economies if it cannot move electrons across borders. This reality is far more than a paradox. It is a moral indictment on our collective global order. For too long, access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy has been treated as a privilege rather than a right. Yet, energy is life itself. Energy justice demands that we correct this imbalance. It calls for a global energy system that serves not the privileged few, but the many whose development has been deferred for far too long. Within this historic moment stands Africa. The Africa 10-year infrastructure investment plan, developed under the leadership of the African Union, is a bold continental manifesto. It is a blueprint that envisions the physical and economic wiring of a new Africa, an Africa connected not by colonial borders, but by transmission corridors that run from Cape to Cairo, from Kinshasa to Nairobi, from Dakar to Dar es Salaam. It is a plan that turns isolated grids into a continental energy powerhouse. It is the engineering freedom. It is the industrial backbone of an African century. And its agency grows by the day because Africa stands at the epicenter of the global critical minerals economy. Beneath African soil lies the geological treasure upon which the clean technology revolution depends. Platinum group metals, copper, cobalt, manganese, vanadium, nickel, graphite, and rare earth minerals. Without Africa, there are no batteries. Without Africa, there is no electric mobility. Without Africa, there is no green hydrogen. Without Africa, the global transition collapses. Yet, history teaches us an uncomfortable truth. Resources without power creates dependency. Minerals without beneficiation create poverty. Wealth without sovereignty creates exploitation. We must ensure that never again will our resources leave our shores unprocessed rock, only to return as products priced beyond the reach of our people. Africa must industrialize. Africa must manufacture. Africa must build. The grid we are constructing is not merely infrastructure. It is a declaration. It is a spine of a new industrial order. Every kilometer of transmission line is a factory waiting to rise. Every transformer is a job to be created. Every interconnector is a continent choosing unity over division. But to realize this future, the world must confront a brutal and an indefensible distortion. Africa requires between 90 and $120 billion each year to build the infrastructure that will deliver universal access and power industrialization. Yet, Africa pays the highest cost of capital anywhere on earth. No moral theory, no economic model, no climate argument can justify this injustice. This is not an accident. The perception of African risk has become a profitable industry. An unfair global financial architecture extracts value through inflated premiums and generates returns from the very conditions it claims to lament. It rewards those who benefit from delay and punishes those who seek progress. Africa cannot transition, penalize a system designed for its constraint. That architecture must fall. Permit me to recall the words of Tom Sankara, who said that we must dare to invent the future. Today we dare. Today we invent. Let me say with clarity, Africa is not asking the world to fund its development. Africa is inviting the world to invest in its rise. Investment in Africa strengthens global energy security. Investment in Africa secures the minerals that sustain global industry. Investment in Africa is an investment in rising civilization. The task before us is immense, yet unquestionably within our grasp. We possess the resources, the knowledge, the innovation, and above all, the resolve. What remains is the moral courage to ensure that this transformation becomes a story of inclusion, not exclusion, and that the light we build reaches every household, every community, and every dream across the continent. Let us choose justice. Let us choose sovereignty. Let us choose courage. Let us choose a future where Mariama studies beneath a bright electric light, where Kemi builds an empire rather than a survival strategy, and where Kgosientso's innovations transform not only his nation, but the world. Let us therefore move forward with a unity of purpose, with compassion rooted in justice, and with an unshakable conviction that Africa's hour has arrived. Let us build an energy future in which power does not only move through transmission lines, but flows through the lifeblood of dignity and equality. Let clean energy illuminate not only our skylines, but our collective consciousness. And let this transition stand as the great equalizer of our time, binding together the dignity of work, the promise of progress, and the stewardship of our planet into a single shared African story of triumph. Africa will rise. Africa will lead. Africa will define the future. Thank you very much.